it's actually interesting you brought up the Saylor thing because, I mean, he bought what? All in, I think it was like a $450 million worth of Bitcoin. It doesn't really matter the exact amount, but there's not really a super noticeable market impact on that, right? Like you can't like look at the chart and be like, oh, that's where he bought it. It's clear, right? And that's wild. Like that is a very large notional to move through in like a very pretty short time frame, like relatively. And the market was able to like source that liquidity for him. So like that's a big step forward to where it's getting. So in terms of how this has really evolved, like the big thing that's like changed is everything used to be spot, right? Like everything was a spot transaction, like dollars, Bitcoin, swap them. Like that's how it all happened. Like the exchange sat as the intermediary on the whole thing. They were of marginal quality, especially in the beginning of like trustworthiness. And it was like get in, get out. Like maybe you can like keep a little on there and like provide liquidity if you're looking at like a little scratch on the trading side. But like in general, these things were super toxic. Like they were going down every other month. And you were like, it was really something you had to do and you weren't like super looking forward to it. That's changed. Like the custodians, the exchanges, they're a lot more trustworthy. That being said, like Bitcoin's great in that you don't have to trust anybody if you don't want to. So if you really have no reason to keep that custodied with those exchanges if you don't, which is like a very important point to make. But that being said, like you can now like sort of keep real balances with these places. There's real trading desks that are like operating this. Like every large Chicago prop shop has like an arm on this thing where they're like pumping liquidity into the markets. And futures got really liquid, right? Like CME in particular was like a turning point because that was a traditional market, sort of not blessing it, but saying that like we think this is warranted enough to give access to all of our clients to trade.